Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Hoernke, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2019 film Rambo: The Last Blood, directed by Adrian Grunberg. What the holy hell was that? Oh, this is going to be a spoiler review. So, if you don't want to know anything about this movie, then you should turn this off because I'm going to give up the whole ghost, as it were. I hated it. This movie is fucking awful. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I can't sugarcoat it. It just didn't feel like it was Rambo. It did not feel like a Rambo movie. The character did not feel like John Rambo. Like, he could have called the dude anything he wanted to, for starters. Not that was the worst thing about the movie. So this is Sylvester Stallone's 5th outing as the titular damaged Vietnam veteran. It's been 11 years, surprisingly, since that last Rambo reboot, and a shocking 37 years since his first on-screen appearance in First Blood, way back in the early 80s. The 2008 Rambo reboot, it wasn't great, but that felt like Rambo. I really liked him as an expatriate, kind of living back in Indochina. For some reason, they didn't put him in Vietnam, they put him in Burma, but I mean, he's back in that, that region, and kind of unkempt and, just doing what he needs to do to make ends meet. He's on his own. I don't know, it felt like, this is what John Rambo would be doing at this time in his life. I buy that. It was criticized for its pretty extreme carnage, and I even remember going, wow, this is pretty bloody, and I can handle quite a bit. So for me, it was kind of impressive, but I can understand how some people might not have liked that. It got criticized, but I thought it worked within the context of the film. And really, if you're shooting people with an automatic weapon and hacking them up with machetes, like, what do you expect? I don't know. I think we sugarcoat violence so much that when it skews the other way, it just is like, oh my gosh. But in any case, so this iteration of Rambo starts out as an old cowboy in Arizona. That's right. I'm like, what? He's a cowboy, basically, living on a ranch. And I'm like, does this translate at all from the previous? Like, I had to actually look it up. Maybe I should have watched Rambo, like given it another view through so it more seamlessly led into this. But who would have known that this wasn't sort of a standalone, that it didn't sort of seem, that it had to transition from one film to the other. Never really would have guessed that based on how they kind of do these movies. But apparently it does a little bit. Like, at the end of that movie, he moved back to the United States to go visit his dying father in Arizona. And this ranch is apparently his now deceased father's ranch, which is why he's there. Also, he's very, meticulously kept. And I've always just remembered Rambo as kind of this guy who has been a bit more unkempt. Not necessarily dirty or slovenly, but not, every button buttoned, and he doesn't have the long hair. He's got the hair in this, the short Stallone style that he pretty much sports no matter what he does. So it's really just Stallone being Stallone at his age and not being John Rambo. Okay, whatever. He has some weird, adoptive family. He lives with this little Latina teenager and her grandmother. The grandmother helps out around the ranch, and he's basically like a father figure to this girl, and she has an estranged father, and I'm just like, what is this? Okay. And then some reason he feels the need to build tunnels incessantly. Like, I don't know if we're just supposed to buy this based on his previous, you know, kind of PTSD-like vet status, but that doesn't seem to... I never remember him being that way before. Like, I don't know. It seems more doomsday prepper than where John Rambo should be at in his life. I don't know. It's just... That was weird. So, like I said, this young Latina girl, her name is Gabriella. She's estranged from her father. Like, I guess he was abusive. He was a dick. He ran off. I don't even remember. But anyway, for some reason, this girl wants to go confront him and ask him why he ran off. And of course, her grandmother and John are like, "You're not going to do this. No, no, no." She finds him. She manages to track him down through a friend in Mexico. And of course, she thinks the best idea in the world is to get in her little car and drive down to Mexico. And they just see her, you know, like all like innocent and whatever, driving through some of these, how they portray him, these awful, awful dingy streets, and, you know, people eyeing her, and, you know, like, I mean, she looks like she has victim stapled on her forehead. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, she almost immediately gets sold out and gets plunged into this human sex trafficking ring. And somehow word gets back to Rambo. Oh no, she's just missing, essentially. Or the grandma finds out that she went. Anyway, John finds out about it, and, you know, obviously does not sit well with him, and he's going to go get her back. So it becomes this, like, save the child, protect the child kind of story. And when I saw the trailers and stuff, I thought it was going to be like that. I kind of remembered what's it called, Homeland, that Jason Statham movie, or maybe something like Man on Fire. Yeah, not exactly. So he goes to Mexico. He finds where this dude is, follows him to a compound. Of course, these two guys, I think they might be brothers, who run this sex trafficking, drugs, whatever. They're like the honchos of the area, and they have like they're basically their private armed security army, for lack of a better word. And he just boldly strides right in, kicks the hornet's nest, and do we get like vintage Rambo, like gun wielding, knife wielding? Nope. They kick his ass all over the place. He just blunders right under him. They all surround him, and he's like, "Let the girl go." And they're like, "No, I think we'll just beat you within an inch of your life." And then not only does that happen, but then they know he came for this girl, so he basically puts a target on her back. It is so stupid and so not in keeping with the character, who is at least intelligent about matters of going to deal out death to people he wants to kill. Oh my gosh. And then there's a lady who magically shows up and sort of, like, they all just leave him. They want to leave him alive, so he knows. So it's like, that's the real, like, torture, right? Not killing him. So there's this lady that shows up, played by Paz Vega, who takes him to her place and nurses him back to health over the course of a couple days. And I don't even remember what she's doing there. The only reason she is there is to accomplish that task, in order to save him and nurse him back to health, and that's it. The plot needs it. Like, whatever she was doing is superfluous, and who gives a crap? It is... So, of course, as soon as he's coherent, he's like, "Oh, nuts, I gotta try again." This time, much different results. He goes in there and blazes a path of bloody glory and gets the girl. I don't know what's changed, though. It's the same people. It's the same setup. Why would it be any different? Why would the results be different? It didn't look like he prepared or did anything different. It's just ridiculous. And then to top it all off, I'm going to take her back to home, where we come from. Obviously, she's strung out on drugs. She's been passed around, whored out. She looks like garbage because she's been treated like garbage, and she kicks the bucket on the way back to the ranch. They kill the girl. Really? Okay. Alright. Well, you just killed John Wick's dog. Bad move. So he goes back to the ranch. Now, I know why he built those tunnels. Because the plot needed it. Because he knew his young teenage adoptive Latina daughter was going to go to Mexico and run afoul of drug lords, and then they were going to come looking for him. And now he has a place to fight. So he goads them, basically, and they come looking for him. They come to his ranch, and of course, now we get something more close to resembling what John Rambo is, with all his little setups and all his little traps. And of course, they stride in confidently onto his home ground and get decimated, torn to shreds. Everything we expect, with very little flashy banter, because that's not really his way. He's more of a, you know, grimace and kill people sort of thing. The whole thing was just wrong. Not Rambo. Like, the way he looked, the family aspect, the cowboy aspect, his whole ill-preparedness. Like, the whole plot was just an obvious contrivance. Every little piece of it to just get where they wanted to go. It ended up with no deeper meaning for the character. I mean, I understand it's really an excuse just to have Rambo flex and kill a bunch of, you know, bad guys. You know, but they have tried to insert, like, meaning to this character who, you know, has experienced a lot and was a, you know, essentially a PO, you know, or when he first came on, like, First Blood was a lot more of a drama than it turned into an action, before it turned into an action franchise. But you think you'd give this character some catharsis, also because you've got to believe that this is probably the last time we're going to see Rambo on screen. Sylvester Stallone is pretty freaking old, and this character doesn't wear well. And to just have him go out like this, I mean, there just had to be a better way to construct this plot to get where you wanted to go. Create something that would have been a good, like, exclamation point on a film career that, even if you didn't, you know, even if these films weren't your cup of tea, they did have their iconic moments at least back in the 80s. You know, and everybody knows who Rambo is. Everybody had, you know, when you're a kid, had that, you know, the headband, and that everybody wanted that big old knife that he had with the serrated blade and stuff like that. I mean, he was an iconic character. Everybody knows the name. There had to be a better way to set this up. And then at the end, as if paying some homage to the character, that over the credits, like, they show flashes from all the different movies. Like, this film somehow led up to some, you know, grand finale, and now we're gonna, like, relive all of his glory moments. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. This movie was a dumpster fire of awful intention, of awful execution. I can't believe Sylvester Stallone had any part of this, and he helped co-write the script. Just ridiculous, disingenuous to the character, and not to mention that the action part that you come for doesn't even really happen until probably like halfway through, and before you finally start to get ramped up. It was just awful. Awful in every sense of the word. I don't think I will see a worse movie from 2019. So I wonder what I'm going to give Rambo Last Blood for a grade. Let me think. I'm going to give Rambo Last Blood an F. Why? Because there are no grades lower than F. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Like, subscribe, leave some comments. As always, I am Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with turnkey. And this has been a production of Zero Value. Thanks for watching. Fucking Rambo.